What if I told you that you could design and live the life that you want on your own terms? Would you do it? Would you take a leap into the unknown? Or would you settle for a life of limits, a life of safety but lacking true meaning? Zeph and Moses Blacksburg here, and I'm on a journey to help you ignite your inner passions, let go of your fears, and get more out of life. Will you join me and make this year your year of purpose? Welcome to the Year of Purpose podcast. Every 12 minutes, someone in the world takes their own life. And when I was 13 years old, I almost became one of those statistics. I went away for Thanksgiving to my grandparents' house and came back on that Monday to school to find out that an acquaintance of mine from school took his own life on Thanksgiving morning. And a lot of people wouldn't have considered themselves friends with him. And I didn't necessarily consider myself a friend per se, but I remember seeing him bullied. And I remember him being bullied, and I remember being there and not doing anything because, I was afraid to stand up. And I was afraid to stop it. And it was tough to think that, I could have played a role in saving his life and being that friend that he needed. Maybe he just needed one person to believe in him, and that could have made all the difference, and he could still be here today. But unfortunately, through that and some other occurrences and things that had happened at that time in my life, I fell into a really deep depression. I was diagnosed with manic bipolar depression. I started having panic attacks 20, 30, 40 times a day, and I became highly medicated for it. And it's hard thinking that your parents have given up on you and don't know what to do, and so they've just settled for medication that knocks you out like a zombie. I was good for only a couple things: basic functions, walking to the kitchen, going to the bathroom, and sleeping, and that was pretty much it. I was essentially bedridden and never technically graduated my 8th grade year of middle school. And I just remember being like a walking zombie, not able to do anything. I was on this medicine for easily a year and a half, and I wanted to be off of it. I knew that it was doing something to me. I couldn't understand what was happening at that time because I was so out of it, but I knew I had to be off of it. And one day I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I said, I can't do this. I said, I can't do this anymore. And I was prepared to die. I was ready to be gone from this earth and from people's lives. And I had this moment of clarity because part of me had died. The part of me that was a zombie, that was medicated, that was depressed, I was dead inside, and that part died in that moment. And just like a phoenix rising from the ashes, the part of me that was still there from so long ago started to come back. And I decided to cut my medicine cold turkey and not tell anyone. And I don't recommend this to anyone, but there was a part of me that died and a part of me that wanted to live still, and these two fought for what must have been easily 2 weeks' time. I remember my parents getting up and leaving, my brother and sister going to school, and I would sit in the kitchen with a knife or with a bottle of pills and think, I could do this right here, right now. And I would sit there for hours on end. The entire day would go by, but every day at the end of the day, I would get up, I would go back to my room, and I'd go to bed. And I had just enough strength because that part of me that lived was telling me, you've just got to push through this. And I did. After about 2 weeks, I started to feel happier. I started to talk more and want to socialize with people. I missed my friends. I missed hanging out with people and doing things in the world. It was kind of like you were being reborn or reintroduced into the world. And I started to live life and to enjoy things and to make more friends. And what I want people to understand is that to generate that moment of clarity, that like 30 seconds where I said, I can't do this anymore, and I killed off that part inside of me that was holding me back for so long, to get to that moment, you have to become vulnerable. You have to be okay with sharing your message and sharing your story with others. The only way that you're going to get the help and the support that you need is by sharing your story. And we have to become okay with depression. We have to become okay with suicide. Not that we accept that it's happening, but we have to be okay with people feeling these emotions. And we have to be able to listen to them and understand what they're going through. And so I think that it was a really important transformational point in my life to create this 30 seconds of clarity, this moment where I could kind of kill off whatever the bad was and let the good start to come back in. And it's been a slow process. It comes back. Sure, do I have times in the winter when, I haven't been outside for days and I feel the winter blues? Of course, absolutely. It's never going to go away 100%. But to transform your life, you have to start being a little more vulnerable, and you have to start telling your story. You've probably heard me talk about designing a life that you actually want to live. You might have even heard about my travels or experiences and thought to yourself, yeah, I do want to do that. Eventually, someday I'll probably do it, and my guess is that you've been thinking about doing it for a long time. So I want to tell you this: stop thinking. Your time is right now. You don't need any more time. You don't need any more info. You don't need to keep putting it off and planning for the perfect time, because the truth of the matter is this: you could be the person who sits around and thinks about living a better life, or you can be the person that decides that today is the day that you're going to actually do it, and I want that for you. Because you already have what it takes. You've got a fire inside. Even if you can't see it right now, it's lit, but you need to open yourself up to the possibilities and throw a couple logs into the flames. So join me and the Year of Purpose tribe by subscribing to our YouTube channel and iTunes podcast. And if you really like us, please leave a review. This is Evan Moses Blacksburg, and I can't wait to see you again on the Year of Purpose podcast.